Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again here to Virtual Racing Network. Of course, I am one of your hosts here for tonight. We will be introducing our second chair here for tonight's event. Someone brand new to our booth, but not brand new to broadcasting. But before we do that, we need to hop over and get to the sponsors here for tonight's festivities. And of course, the main sponsor here for this race tonight, that is the one and only Walls Beard Co. Beard Balm. If you have a beard, you need to go over there and check them out at wallsbeardco.com for all the beard product needs, all natural and organic stuff. A must for every gentleman out there that has a beard, and you definitely need to take care of it. So again, head on over to wallsbeardco.com. On the broadcast side of things, we wouldn't be here for 2019 if it wasn't for the following partners. Northwest Racing Series, your official one-to-go sponsor here for tonight's race. Walls Beard Co. Beard Balm, your official starting grid sponsor. RaceOnTexas.com, the official dirt partner of Virtual Racing Network. Sim Speed Shop, your official button box company of VRN. Hanover Wrecker Service, your official caution sponsor for tonight's race. On the Edge Motorsports, your official Wicked Energy Gum retailer. Make sure you head over to ontheedgemotorsports.com to check them out and get some of that gum today. Huffman Designs, if you need a really nice looking paint job, there's no better place to go than Huffman Designs on Facebook. And of course, last but not least, is RaceCourt Online Racing League. You can catch all the racing action on Sunday and Tuesday night here live on Virtual Racing Network. That being said, it is time to introduce our second chair here for tonight's race. And of course, that is the one and only Phil. So, Phil, welcome to the booth here for the first time tonight.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks, Charles, for having me aboard. I'm glad to be a part of the family over here, the partnership I have with the home base at Full Velocity TV and yourself over at the Virtual Racing Network. This is going to be a lot of fun to do, and just giving a peek to our viewership that we usually have at our home base over at Full Velocity TV and over streaming out over there on Facebook Live, also on all the normal channels for VRN here tonight as well. So hoping to attract a new audience for you, and maybe some existing guys for you to come over our way, as well as our partnership that we have formed here with Full Velocity and VRN. A lot of great things to come, Charles. The sky is the limit, and I'm pretty pumped to do this race alongside tonight, bringing me out a northeast guy to a northwest tour. I almost feel like a fish out of water, but hey, what the heck, we'll have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. You're northeast, the northwest, and I'm stuck right in the middle here in Texas. So we've got all bases covered here for tonight's race. And it looks like so far we got around 20 or so drivers. I expect to see a few more come in here before this race officially gets underway. Of course, for anyone that hasn't seen it by now, we are here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. A very iconic track in the racing scene here, and a very tough track as well. We've already got word in that they're going to get roughly 50 to 52 laps worth of fuel. But tires, on the other hand, you're going to be screaming for new tires. I would imagine anywhere from 10 to 15 laps, you're going to come in and get new tires regardless.
Well, you think about it. I mean, in a place like Las Vegas, in the trucks, I mean, as Jeff was telling us beforehand, these guys could almost be balls to the wall wide open for a good 5 to 6 laps around this place. That's burying the throttle pedal all the way to the floor. You think you do that long enough, these tires will get hot, they will scream, they'll start to go away, as you said. So you think about the way you want to pace your way through a run. If you're going to get a full green flag run, the fuel being around that 55 lap margin here tonight, you're going to want to really ease out of your stuff and save your stuff. So it's going to be a risk versus reward how hard you run these tires. And of course, Charles, it's all built in to how you set up these trucks. It's open setup racing, so you have some adjustability the way you want these things to run. You want a good short run set, you want a good long run set. You have all the adjustability as a driver to get all that, but tires are definitely going to play a big key here tonight, as they seem to always do, regardless of where you are running around Las Vegas.
Yeah, and looking here at some track information here, so we'll go ahead and pull that out. Of course, your track information here for tonight's event is brought to you by Bulletproof Tees. Head on over to bulletprooftees.com to get some shirts made for your company, league, whatever it may be. You can get those made. But 94 degrees for your track temp here with 6 mile per hour winds out of the southwest. So, 94 degrees You think that's hot, but in the grand scheme of things here, we've seen a lot hotter. I'm sure you have. I've seen tracks that were up to 117, 121 degrees. So 94, while it's quite toasty, it's not as hot as it possibly could be.
Well, out on the northeast side of the country where I live, we're about 3 weeks away from getting racing season opening up here from the real life scene, and we're pushing temps out here that are so about maybe 35 degrees currently. So to think of a racetrack out here, the air temp being 90 something degrees, the racetrack going to be hot. They're going to be slip sliding around. Grip's going to play a big premium here tonight, of course, but 94 degrees, Charles. You say that we've seen hotter. It's hot as could be right now for a guy in the Northeast that lives through these brutal winters, and you dainty flowers of the South are out there in the Vegas desert. They're going to live with this kind of stuff. I mean, this is kind of almost we're burning up out here, brother.
Yeah, definitely. Burning up out there is the appropriate word. And I'm curious about this particular track, how it's going to work in Turn 4. I've never seemed to, or Turn 1, I'm sorry, not Turn 4. I've always had a problem with Turn 1, especially on slick tires and a slick track, so we'll definitely be watching to see how it goes as more and more drivers are starting to show up here tonight. And, speaking of drivers here, it seems about time we pull at least one down to the booth here and take a chat with them here. And I think we're going to see if we can't get Mark Walls in here, who we talked about earlier, has won the last 2 races, and he won this race last year. So he's got a lot on the line. So we're going to pull him down here. So give us just a moment. We'll be right back live on the mic, and we're going to see if we can't get a word in with Mark Walls real quick. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately we couldn't get Mark Walls in the booth with us. We'll still try to get a hold of him, but we do have Steve Stillstad in here. So, Steve, welcome to the booth here. And for anyone that thinks he sounds different, he is on a different headset. His main headset decided it didn't want to work in practice last night, so not sure what happened there, but we have him on a backup headset here to talk to us. But, Steve, what can we expect out of this car tonight?
It should be interesting. The track's pretty warm already, so it's going to get pretty slippery pretty quick. So we might all have our hands full by the end of this thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slip and slide out there with this track. 96 degrees. It's starting to warm up just a little bit. So obviously, I believe the sun will be going down here. I believe they do have dynamic weather on. So the sun will go down a little bit, but I don't know if this track's going to cool down too much. So what are you setting your truck up for here tonight? Is it going to be for long runs, or are you planning on those short runs?
I don't know. I'm hoping we tried pretty hard to kind of come up with a good balance between the two. So I'm hoping it kind of lasts the whole time. I know it'll probably be probably get a little loose towards the end, but that's to be expected at Vegas. It wears the tires out pretty quick here, so.
Well, definitely does here. We got about 10 and a half minutes left in the pre-show here. Obviously, we want to introduce you to Phil. He is our second chair here for tonight. Obviously, Phil, you don't know Steve too much here, as it is your first race. But anything race related, do you have any questions for him?
Oh, we can try this one. We got the hot temps out here, upper 90s now as this racetrack is pushing. Vegas, always a place, as you said, it likes to wear the tires out. Can you expect, with the great crowd of trucks we have out here, the way these things can handle, you guys you could potentially be balls wide open here in traffic for 5 to 6 laps, but knowing the tire is going to fall off, how is that going to play key to the way you set your truck up? And say where you qualify, even if, say, you qualify mid-pack, does that change the outlook of how you run your race versus a short run setup or a long run setup?
Yeah, I think that would, if I qualify mid-pack or front or back, definitely change how you run a little bit. I don't know, if you end up front, you're going to be pushing the truck hard probably the whole time. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking we're probably going to have some good long runs here tonight. Everybody seemed pretty solid in practice. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, say this race is to stay green for a good duration. Say, for example, this race got to about halfway. We're talking field tonight going about 55, 56, maybe 57 laps. Is there any stretch of the imagination that could save enough to make this race a potentially one pit stop? Or are you going to say guaranteed tonight that the race winner is probably going to have to make 2?
I imagine everybody will be making 2 stops. I don't think anybody will be doing a one-stop strategy.
That's all I got. Good luck, my friend, and good to meet you. And cool to come up here, hang out with Charles Dulis. Steve, good luck. Great to meet new people out here as I get involved to a whole new audience up here in Northwest Racing Series. So, from behalf of myself, I'm glad to be here, and good luck out there in that 65 truck. That looks a beauty, I see.
Yeah, thanks. You guys, it was nice to meet you, and yeah, you guys have a good time tonight as well.
All right, Steve, we'll hopefully be talking to you later tonight, and I'm going to get you back down to your race channel.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, get them down there to White Knuckle Racing as we got about just under 8 minutes. We're going to try one more time to see if we can get a hold of Mark Walls real fast. Mark Walls, you got a copy? All right, well, we got you in here, and we say no pressure, but we're going to try to put that pressure on you here tonight. You have won the first 2 races. You won last season at this track, so no pressure. But how much pressure is that on you to come in here knowing you've won the first 2 races of the season and you won last season here at Las Vegas? Does it kind of put a target on your back?
No, I think everyone's got a target on their back every week. These guys are hungry to go out and win races, so I was fortunate to be able to grab the first 2, but we got our work cut out for us tonight. I think with the weather and the track heat, you're going to see a lot of fast trucks early, and those trucks tend to fade off, I think, late. So I think it's just kind of a strategy standpoint.
Well, definitely a strategy is going to come in here to play. We've already heard from Jeff earlier before we went live that tires and fuel are going to be a little offset. We're talking 15, 20 laps or so, maybe less than that on tires, whereas 50 or so laps of fuel. So what kind of strategy are you using here tonight? And is it going to be running with your teammates, or different, you and your teammates maybe going to run different strategies?
I always lean more towards the green flag runs. I kind of understand the 15 to 20 lap your tires fall off, but I tend to actually like the later laps better. So if we can get long green runs, it's definitely playing to our favor. If we go short run, it's going to be about pit strategy and track position.
Well, definitely a lot of strategies going on here. And, of course, you didn't get to get introduced to Phil here, who is our second chair for the night earlier before we went live. But, of course, first off, welcome to the booth to Phil and Mark, who are both here. And, of course, we're going to hand it over to Phil to see if he has any questions here for you.
Well, I only got one, and it's kind of a jealous point of view if I have Mark, the defending series champion. you're defending winner of this race at Las Vegas, won the first 2 races to start the year. How much pressure do you feel coming into Las Vegas, knowing that you've won the first 2, you got the trophy from last year, and you're the defending winner of this race? Where's the pressure sit on your shoulders?
Well, I think it falls back to where our chase is. It's kind of one of those win and you're in if you can keep within certain points. So I don't feel the pressure. I already got those 2 locked in. I would really love to see some of these other series drivers go ahead and grab a win. I would have nothing more than respect for those guys. So I'm just encouraging everyone to get out there. We're just going to roll with it. I'm not going to put any kind of pressure on me. That's usually how you lose races.
Well, knowing you got that win in your back pocket, 2 wins already into the chase, so you sit here at Vegas tonight, you practice so far, mid-pack out there in this opening practice for the race. I know you guys are out there in a little different conditions a little while ago. Hot, racetrack's hot, tires going to fall off. If you have a shot to maybe make a bold move there to get off sequence of these guys, to steal another win out there versus guys, do you do anything different than these guys? Go off the norm and maybe play a different strategy than these guys do? Or are you going to kind of play it by, ear and do what these guys do that may be running up front with you?
Well, if I'm given a hot track and slick conditions, I'm definitely going to stay out and make everybody try to short pit. I really like when it gets slick, when it gets hot out. That's kind of fits my driving style. So if we can fit a long run in there, force some guys to try to change their strategy, I'm all for it.
Well, from a Northeast guy who started his career in a 48 car to another guy out there with a 48 on the side of it, Mark, good luck from all of us up here. We'll be definitely pulling for you. And so when Charles sent this assignment over to me tonight, and I look at the list of names, and I see your name all over the place, so winner, the champion, defending champion, I mean, it got my attention right away, brother. 48 car, good luck tonight. Have some fun out there, and good luck on this really tough racetrack we got out here.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate it.
All right, and one last thing here, Mark, of course. We know you got some shout-outs and sponsors real quick before we let you go.
Yeah, we got to thank Walls Beard Co., VRN, and Northwest Racing Series. I think those are the key ingredients to this series, and we got an awesome turnout tonight. I hope we give you guys one heck of a race to call. I hope you enjoyed that, and man, hopefully we get to get a podium finish and talk to you guys at the end of this thing.
Definitely, we'll be talking to you. We're going to get you back up to your channel. And again, that was the 48 of Mark Walls, and I'm still used to calling him the 24. That was his original number, but he is the 48 here tonight. So again, we did get a clarification on James' name, the 333. That it is pronounced like Viking, but it's Vining. So that is James Vining here tonight, and we got 31 drivers. So a few shorter than we're used to seeing, like 2 or 3 shorter, but still more than we had last year. So welcome to the Northwest Series. We got a good race in store for you here, Phil.
My apologies there, Charles. I did that old broadcaster cliche thing. Don't unplug the headset when you pull the chair back to get a drink. I've done this a billion times over the years, and I do it again tonight on the first night out at VRN. But yeah, we're going to be in for an awesome race here. And keep in mind, this 125 laps at Vegas is by no means a sprint race. This is going to be a marathon, well over 180-something miles we're going to run out here tonight, around a mile and a half. It's hot. The tire's going to be greasy. The race driver's going to get a little bit hot out there. You'll wonder if things get close quarters, if these guys can keep their composure in the conditions we're going to run in.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. Again, these guys are one very tight-knit group. They're really good at working and racing with each other, and usually you don't see too much anything that looks intentional. However, in the Xfinity Series on Monday, we did have our first driver that actually got disqualified from a race for intentional wrecking. So while it is very, very rare, we have seen it, and really just seen it this season. We have not seen it in the last past 2 seasons or so. So something to definitely look forward to. And note here, as we got about a minute left to go, when it comes to this season here, last year they ran 2 mini seasons. This year they're running 1 long season, so you have a little bit more of a chance to get in there. So this really kind of shaking it up. This is new for these guys to run this long of a season, at least for this league anyway. So a lot of different changes going on.
You would think that long schedule, it benefits a guy like Mark there, who's already got that win in the back pocket. He can basically race the entire year, knowing he's got that win to make the chase in his back pocket. Versus a shorter year, you may win the first or second race of the season, but with a shorter season, you lose the benefit of that win. It kind of loses the level of shine right away in a short season there. So the longer season for a guy like Mark, who's got it in his back pocket, I think is a great thing. But for a short burst kind of guy who would like to maybe steal a win here tonight, like a guy like Matt Henry, who was fastest so far in practice, a William Fletcher, a Dan West Jr. out there in third, in practice so far. I mean, it's game on for these guys. Go steal a win now, and you carry that in your back pocket through the entire year. That's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it definitely has to be a good feeling to know if you can get that win. Especially when the strength of field here is just ridiculous, as the practice is coming to an end here. As there it is, the last 3 seconds or so. Practice is officially over, which means it is time to get into qualifying. These guys have 10 minutes to get out here and qualify. And trust me when I say, as we'll pull up qualifying drop down here, some of these guys will utilize that full 10 minutes. As you'll see, some of these guys like Sean Brightsman, possibly Corey Walters, we'll see. If some of them qualify at all, they will wait to the last minute to go out on this track and qualify.
I wonder what they're thinking here, the strategy is for using up all that 10-minute clock, because I'm a guy, it's qualifying time. I've made my adjustments. The racetrack is going to be about as clean as it's going to get here. I'm going out there, especially in the hot conditions. We know it's not going to get any better yet. It's going to cool off a little bit as the race goes on, as I believe we're going to transition to night hours during this race. So I guess there remains to be seen, but I'm not sure what strategy you would work out by going out later. I guess I'm just probably why I'm not a good race car driver in my own right. I like to go out there early, just get my lap down and get it over with. I don't want to see times accumulate and just try to stack up where they will, because if I go out there late, I see 25 guys already got times up and I clock in, say, 15th. I'm going to feel a little bit off. Versus if I go out there early, put a lap down, and I end up about mid-pack and I see the times trickling in around me, then I know I got work to do.
Yeah, I definitely do. I like to get out there and get first. For a little bit different reason. When I'm out there, I like to go first so that I know I can say I was number one for a while. However, some of these guys I have been known anyway, to watch this. They'll watch for these dynamic clouds that we have now to roll over, and they will wait till that cloud comes over to get half the track cooled off. So we know some of them have a strategy, and there's some of them here too, as William Fletcher puts in a time of a 30.482. But there's some of these guys like Josh Coley and some of these guys that won't even qualify at all. They want to start in the back and work their way through this field, and they will do it. Josh Coley, Brian Barnes, if they don't qualify, it's a strategic thing.
I guess it's part of the storylines we get to expect here with the Northwest Racing Series, and really cool to see a whole lot of a whole field of names I've never seen before in the 6 years I've been broadcasting. So this is going to be a lot of fun. My pavement background goes back to basically the NR 2003 scene, where I still kind of live and do a lot of my own racing and still do some broadcasting over there. So to take that transition out over here to iRacing and see the way the clouds roll over, the tracks are dynamic and they change, and it completely changed the feel, the way these things drive. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's almost going to be kind of an education, because once I came over to iRacing, I transitioned over about the same time that Dirt came over here. So my pavement experience as far as the sim is really limited. So the way to see these dynamic things all change, the way the trucks are going to, just maybe get even better handling as the race conditions kind of cool off, the track temp cools off. It's really cool. I'm going to be a student of the game here and just kind of take this all in to see how this all works.
Yeah, definitely there is a lot going on here. Right now, Mark Walls just put in a time, so did BJ Tidrick with a 32.790. But Mark Walls, second fastest so far. Very surprising to not see him at the very top, but outside row one, not a bad spot to be. But as we go to Shane Quinn here, that being said, it's like I talked about earlier, you just now see Sean Brightsman getting strapped into his car. John Ottenbacher not out, Jeff Stabnow. These guys haven't even touched the track yet, and they will wait till about 3-4 minutes to go or so before they officially get out there, as Dan West Jr. just takes to the top of the charts.
Yeah, that's a pretty good lap right there, a 30.059. That's a screaming lap around here. Obviously, they've got these things buried to the floor for qualifying, which I guess you can get away with now, but say you look back in you got guys, we talked to Steve Selstead there a little bit ago. He's clocked in right now 12th quick with a 30.273. A guy like Gary Nichols, who I know is running back there, 30.282, currently sitting 14th. These guys are off as far as putting the pedal to the floor being off, but do you think, Charles, that maybe, these guys have adjustability built into the setup where that one lap quick burst doesn't exactly have to be there? Or do you think this is a completely different setup these guys are running from qualifying on into race trim?
I would imagine some of these are probably going to be running different trim than they're running here. I know these these trucks here tonight are probably heavily taped up right now. We have seen in the past where they blow the engine before they actually get to the line, so you've got to be that fine line here. I would imagine they will have to take that tape off, and we've seen it before too as we head over to Jeff Stabno, who's actually sitting on pit road here. But we've seen this before to where they actually, forget to take that tape off, and a lap or two into the race, the engine blows, and their night is done that quick. So they have to be very careful going from practice to qualifying, or qualifying to race.
It really shows like the mental focus you got to have as a driver too to remember in the back pocket here. Yeah, you've probably worked on both a long run set for the race mode and probably that 2-lap qualifying run, and you're really going to stay up in your game. You're going to think, if you're going to put that big lap down, look at Dan West Jr. up there, 30.05. That's screaming. William Fletcher, 30.071. Those guys currently on the front row, those are blistering laps. You got to assume those guys are probably all taped up. As you said, now in their back pocket, I think it's a benefit of those guys to be going out early. Gives you that frame of mind to come in and don't forget to make that adjustment, because as you said, on tape one of these things, you can blow your night up early, and if you're out here running for points in a field as big and as deeply loaded as this one is, that mistake can completely take your whole season and turn it upside down only in the third race.
Yeah, you definitely don't want it to do it. Good news is it is race 3, so if you do mess it up, you have a little bit of time to recover from it. But yeah, to be out of the race that early in the season is not what you want to do. And it looks like we're having issue with trading paints as well.
Well, that one shocked me because I've been having issues with it all night, as well as I kept reloading the thing a little while ago. I had all black trucks, then I got all white trucks, and then they started to populate, and I see most of them out there, and every couple of laps something will turn white or black on me, depending on what area of the racetrack I'm in. Yeah, something all jacked up with this thing. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong, but you know what, Charles? We're going to call him as we see him. The best we can do.
Yeah, it's about all you can do here. Is Jeff Stabnow's going to leave the track here, and we're going to try reloading trading paints one more time here. We got some of them that we look how they should be. There should be quite a few out there with Walls Beardco on them. We were getting reports in from Chris White here, who is sponsored by SimStar Motorsports on his truck, and was showing a Target paint job. So unless Kyle Larson and Target decided to sponsor him and he didn't know about it, not running the paint job he should be running here tonight. Shout out to Target if they did sponsor him. Well, they should probably let him know about that. But yeah, definitely not showing up as we do have the 89 of John Ottenbacher coming out onto the track. I am showing the correct paint for him. But while he's getting up to speed, I want to note we talked about some of those drivers that may not qualify. Gerald Heffley, Frank Harris, Dan Stuzzi, Scott Hutchinson may or may not start. Sometimes he does, sometimes he does not. Josh Coley and Jason Bortles have not come out on the track. Josh Coley, no stranger to not qualifying, though.
It's kind of cool for my first night out over here with the Northwest Series guys to learn some of the names, just reading over the point standings, the race results, kind of getting a feel for who you can kind of get a feel for, who's going to be up front, who may be a dark horse to come from the mid-pack or the back of the field that may not normally be out there. This is going to be a lot of fun, and we're getting toward the back end of the qualifying here, Charles. We're at about 8:30 mark, so about a minute and a half before we put these things in full race conditions for 125 laps. And you say this is a down crowd over here. Only 24 drivers have taken qualifying, but potentially about 30 to 32 trucks here in the field. I mean, this is a pretty healthy crowd for a track like Las Vegas. It gets slick. It's hot. I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to get this event started.
It definitely is. 31 drivers that have made the trip here to Las Vegas. And we'll see how many of those do officially start the grid again. Scott Hutchinson, the 91, if he got about a 50-50 shot if he starts the race. Sometimes due to internet and different reasons he doesn't start. As he doesn't want to have internet issues interfere with it. So that's the only one I know of right offhand that we may or may not see start. Everyone else, I think, will start to be 30 drivers. So we could have potentially 15 to 16 rows here. And this season has really been up and down. We've seen very few cautions. Excuse me. And we've also seen cautions on that too before. So this is kind of the roller coaster season here. As we got about 15 seconds left on the clock. So go ahead and get rid of your qualifying times there. But it looks like Dan West Jr. in the 55 is going to be your pole sitter here for tonight's race.
Absolutely. That is going to be prime real estate up there. I wonder how these trucks will fare out there like his, out there with that benefit of clean air right away. I cannot wait to see where this is going to go. Looks like qualifying just now going to completion. We're going to click over onto race mode for 125 laps around. I'm chomping at the bit, man. They're starting a grid. Well, let's get rolling.
They are indeed getting to the grid, and we're going to drop down there with them as well as soon as our leader gets to it. But we have time to go through your Walls Beard Co. starting grid, of course. We're going to now drop down to the track. And do you want to run through our top 10 drivers, our first 5 rows here, and then I will bring us home tonight?
Absolutely. We'll take us to our first row. On the pole is going to be car number 55, Dan West Jr. And alongside him and board car number truck number 28, that's William Fletcher. In row number 2 in the 46 truck, Sean Brightsman, and alongside of the fast number 1, that's Caden Anderson. In row number 3, the 89 of John Onenbacher with number 48, our 2-time winner and defending series champion, that is Mark Walls, and alongside, or next row back of the number 30 truck starting off position 7. That is D. Palmer. Shane Quinn rolls off of position number 8 aboard the 04 truck. In our 5th row, we find truck number 17, Bill Ross Jr. And outside of him, the fastest truck in the opening practice, truck number 19, that is Matt Henry.
In row 6 is going to be the 9 of Corey Walters. And on his outside, someone that you do not want to count him out, that's the 24 of Jeff Stabnow. Row 7 is going to be the 7 of Brett Johnson. Another very fast driver. Do not count him out. Got the pole at the last race and came up really good in the finishing results. And on his outside is going to be the number 12 of Jason Hunt. Another driver to be on the lookout for. Row 8 is going to be the 77 of Tom Green and the 2 of James Thurston. Row 9 is going to be the 58 of Stephen Paulson and the 49 of Doug Hunt. Row 10 is going to be the 65 of Steve Silstad and the 8 of Gary Nichols. Row 11 is going to be the 10 of Justin McClure and the 92 of Casey Tillman. Row 12 is going to be the 72 of BJ Tidrick and the 83 of Chris White. Be looking for Chris White and BJ to be up at the front before this race is over. Row 13 is going to be the 333 of James Vining and the 33 of Josh Coley, the first driver not taking a time here tonight. We'll see how he progresses through this field. Row 14 is going to be the 39 of Jason Bortles and the 91 of Scott Hutchinson. Row 15 is going to be the 11 of Frank Harris and the 78 of Dan Stuzzi. And rounding out the field here, shotgun all by himself, is going to be the 62 of Gerald Heffley. That'll do it here for the Walls Beard Co. Beard Bomb starting grid. As everyone started, 31 drivers here for tonight's race, and they're coming into turn 3 right now.
They're getting ready to rock and roll here for 187.5 miles, 125 laps of the mile and a half. Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Strap in for a wild ride here. Virtual Racing Network, and great to be alongside Charles Wooten tonight. Phil Lacassiere from Full Velocity TV. You know, our partnership with VRN now coming to a full fruition as the resources keep coming out for both of us. And cool to be alongside Charles. We are Green Flag Racing. Dan West Jr. and William Fletcher are going to lead the field for the first time in turn 1.
They are indeed. The question is, when will we see the first caution, or will we see a caution at all tonight? I think we'll probably see a caution here tonight for sure. And hang on 1 second. We're going to pull someone else down to the booth real quick. David Applegate, you got a copy? We'll see if David gets in here. He also helps out in the booth, so we may have a 3-man booth here tonight if David Applegate is here. But right now, we'll definitely keep an eye. We may have a caution sponsor out there, someone keeping an eye for us. Dan West Jr. doing a fantastic job holding off Sean Breitzman, and that is no task. He's got John Ottenbacher, those two side by side, but it looks like Mark Wall's going to try to make it 3 wide for about 4th.
Yeah, that's a good little battle going there for 4th there. Wall's almost making it 3 wide. You've got Caden Armstrong in that Sirius XM Toyota truck number 1 down to the bottom. The 48 of Wall's there right in the middle. The 46 truck, rather. 46 truck right there in the mix. Sean Breitzman was up there running in 4th. I'm watching these guys come down the front chute, watching these guys cut the dog leg, and that's a great one there. The 1 truck getting a big head of steam down low. He's alongside the 89 of John Ottenbacher. They come off of turn number 2. They're in a dead heat. That's allowing the 55, Dan West Jr. He's got 3 car lengths on the field in the turn 3.
He does indeed, and they are, again, still side by side. And I want to point out here, for the ones that out there are probably thinking that Phil has lost his mind with the Sirius XM number 1. It says DeWalt on the video. Again, that is because Trading Paints is acting up, not because of Phil. It's not Phil. It is Trading Paints messing up because we see DeWalt's on our end. But keep in mind, these guys have paint jobs on here that they've never even put on their car, and something they're showing up. So it's really not us. It really is Trading Paints. But that kind of has sorted itself out here. The teammates still battling right now. If you look at teammates, you have Mark Walls, John Ottenbacher, Sean Breitzman. Those are 3 teammates right now that are currently 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And their next teammate is in 9th place, and he's got his hands full right now with Matt Henry, who was the fastest in practice.
Sure was. That's Chef Stab down there, that 4th truck you talk about, number 24, running in that 9th spot. But yeah, Matt Henry's number 19, peeking all over the bottom side of that truck. 24 truck looking underneath the 30 of D. Palmer off of the corner. You say, you talk Jeff Stab now, he's got those teammates up there running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You want to think this early on in the going. He wants to go up there and run with those guys because it's better to be out there in a crowd as we're all sorted out single file. Look at the way these guys stand out through 1 and 2. You've got really 3 distinct lines running out there right now, and we're only working lap number 6. So you got to think about now is when these tires, if you laid them out there really quick early, this is when they're going to start to feel and fall off. Now you got to think these guys are absolutely going to be cracking the throttle. The cream's going to start rising to the top.
It definitely is. The cream will come to the to the top. As if I can speak the King's English around here today. It, of course, is only 7 laps in. We've completed 6 on lap number 7, caution-free so far. As we're going to go back here to about 9th position. Jeff Stab now in this group. You have William Fletcher kind of leading the group. They were almost 3 wide for a split second. They've sorted it out now. But just this group, I want to point out here, Brett Johnson, Jeff Stabnow, we've got in here, Matt Henry, Jason Hunt. You talk about them. When you get D. Palmer, this is his first race that I've seen him race, so I'm not real sure on how he normally does. But if this is his norm, he's got a solid top 10 finish right now, so he definitely may be someone we have to look out for. But is it just me, or does this track look really bumpy out here tonight?
These trucks are bouncing all over the place. It is a rough surface out here at Las Vegas. They repaved it, I want to say with the reconfiguration, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now. It's set out here in the sun. We live in the desert out here in Las Vegas, of course. This thing bakes year-round, so you got to think it's cured really well, but yeah, it's definitely bumpy. These things are abrasive. I think for the warm racetrack, the way these things are going to slip and slide, you really hit a set for these bumps as well, especially down that back straightaway. These things are bouncing around real well. They
are indeed, and we do have David Applegate with us here, so we have, all around, we've got the race expert here with Phil. We got the, I don't really know what I am person in the booth. And then, of course, we have David Applegate here who races in this league. So he's kind of our inside source here. So, David, you've raced with these guys quite often before. So when you got 125 laps and the tires are going to wear off, what's going through the mind of a driver here in this series right now?
For the first 25 to 50 laps, it's just survival. Feel out your car, feel out your truck. We did have a practice session beforehand with the same weather conditions, so people are probably going to be pretty confident that they know what their truck's going to do. What they're not confident about is what everybody else's trucks are going to do around them. So for the first the first 30%, maybe half of the race is survival. And you said, yes, very slippery, very bumpy as well, so that's just going to be all that much more these guys have to deal with. So I would not be surprised to see a long green flag run to start the race. Right about the midpoint when people start changing their perspectives, things will start getting dicey, and we might see some cautions then.
Well, definitely cautions. I expect to see some here. We don't want to see too many, of course, as it will eat away at the laps here, but we've all seen those races that have a ton of cautions, and we've all seen them that have hardly any cautions at all. So, you need a happy medium there. Phil, you being one of the broadcasters as well, you've seen there as both, and let's just kind of get everyone's opinion here. I want to see about maybe 2-3 cautions to just enough to regroup this field. As a race expert and as a driver, what do y'all think caution-wise? We'll start with Phil.
Well, if it was me that I could predict, what would I love a caution-free race based on the sense that I love the strategy that comes in planning this race out from the green to the checkered flag, having to get pit stop sequence right, not making a mistake on pit road because that can certainly ruin your night. But a place like Las Vegas, the way this looks right now, and me just being completely new to the scene over here, Northwest Racing Series, I would predict probably 3 to 4 is probably safe. It looks really tame out there right now. There's a whole lot of give and take, but I'm sure David can tell a lot more than I can, being a newbie from the outside now, coming here for the first time. They're really tame. There's a lot of give and take right now. And what Charles was saying, this is pretty much the norm for this league. So I'm thinking 3 or 4 seems kind of safe, but I wouldn't be even surprised at all, Charles, if we had less than 3.
Yeah, it does matter sometimes, who does sign up for the races on occasion. And if 3 or 4 is your prediction, then Texas last week would have put you out of your mind. Like 9 or 10 cautions then. My ideal race would be a long green flag run to start, a green flag pit stop. I always love the opportunity to make a green flag pit stop. But then there's also just the fact that a series of quick cautions will shake up the field. Some people will take 4, some people will take 2, some people won't take anything. So if there's a long green flag run to start with a green flag pit stop, and then there's a couple of quick cautions near the 2/3 mark of the race, add a bunch of different strategies in there. That's my favorite type of thing. But I'm going to go right along with Bill and say 3 to 4 cautions is probably a safe bet, and it's probably about as much as I'd like to see out of this group.
Well, definitely, we're all, I think, on the same page. A few cautions, you don't see too terribly many here. As, I'm not sure if this is the right paint job here for the 83. He went from Target to Napa Auto Parts, so I'm not sure if that is the correct paint job he's intending to run. However, the paint job does seem to match his car number, so we'll assume that that maybe it's the right paint job. We don't know. Trading Paints is all sorts of on the fritz here lately with the new update they've had. So apparently they are taking the approach of iRacing is let's break what isn't broken. No offense, iRacing, but that seems to be the strategy we get a lot. But going to the front here with a 1.15 second lead is Mark Walls. Right now, unless just disaster strikes, he's setting himself up for 3 in a row here and 2 in a row for this track.
And that is really impressive to do. I mean, it's tough to go out in any series and win 2 in a row. Mine at 3 in a row. Being the defending champion of the race and the defending champion of the series, I mean, that takes a lot of skill to do. But, guys, we have our first caution flag of the night, working now lap number 18 of 125. So this is really, really early in the going to have our first yellow flag of the evening. But, David, it's going to bring pit strategy right into play early because you got to think these tires now, they may not be too worn, but we were talking earlier, 15-plus laps. You're probably right to the point you're screaming to get a fresh set on there.
I definitely would. As a driver, I would definitely go ahead and put the tires on. But this early in the race, I would not be surprised just see everybody play it safe and come on down. If you're way far in the back, though, and we've seen this before. We saw some crazy stuff in Texas last week. A couple guys staying out, it could really spell a problem for the rest of the group. But as a driver, and because my opinion is gold and everybody should listen to it, I would have everybody come down pit road and get those 40 tires.
And we're sitting here watching the replay to see exactly what happened here. And it looks like maybe Gerald Heffley and, Gary Nichols in the 8 just kind of slid up just a little bit. And lucky for him, I don't think it was Stephen Paulson. I don't think he got too much damage. And nice, the green corrected it was not. the 58, but whoever he got into didn't get too much damage, as still it's confusing for us when we don't have the normal paint jobs, but everybody's coming down pit road. Again, no surprise there. I kind of figured they would.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at all. And just looking back at the replay here, as I watched it on delay here off the YouTube feed that you're putting out for us, but I'm not sure what happened. Did the 8 car kind of come down, or did the low truck kind of move up there? I mean, that was a disagreement of space. It was just such a peculiar place for those guys to be wrecking at.
Yeah, definitely real estate up for grabs, and well, somebody forgot to tell somebody that they were there. And one thing we tried to point out here too is we're watching the race off pit road. It looks like Steve Silstad in the 65 is going to win it off over Sean Breitzman. But what we have to point out here too is, we try to make this as real life as possible as we can, but unfortunately it's not. Unless you have a real spotter out there telling you clear, clear, go, go, clear. If you're using the iRacing spotter on here, and this is not a knock to iRacing by any means, it's physics. I guess it's not technically physics, but it's just the way iRacing is. Computers are meant to start and they can't stop until that command is done. And if he says clear, 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 by the time he's done saying clear and moves on to not clear, you may not be clear, you may be clear, then you just don't know. As Steve Silstad coming down at pit road here to make his stop, so he actually didn't go in to lead a lap, but it really is tough when you're using an iRacing spotter.
Yeah, it really is, and I think David can attest to this as being a driver out there versus me doing more of the broadcast end of all this, but that fraction of a second that, as Charles said, from telling you clear to not clear, it's a computer command, obviously. It's not in real time, of course, but that fraction of a second, if you just saw the racetrack, it equals that disagreement of space, and unfortunately for two guys just kind of riding along by in the business, hopefully not tore up race trucks, because it's a long road to go from here. Only 21 laps in, where we still got over 100 laps to go. A little bit of damage to a truck in a place that's so aerodynamic dependent here like Las Vegas, it can really make for a long night.
I've lived those long nights on way too many occasions, so yes, I totally attest to that. And I've had my own complaints with spotters as well. I've had my own live spotters, which have been great. One thing live spotters can do that computers can't do is they can give you more information. They're not just real time. They can give you more information in real life, like saying, okay, here's a gap coming, 1, 2, 3, go for the gap. You don't have that in iRacing. It's just telling you as it sees it as it is. So there is that. There's also the effect that everybody's on an internet connection. There could be netcode issues. One computer says you're here, another computer says you're there. But I digress. They're lining up for the restart. Breitzman beat Walls off pit road. He'll lead his teammate to the green flag from the inside.
He will indeed, and slowly but surely, there it is, green flag back in the air. We're racing. If you're just tuning in with us, well, where have you been? For starters, and two, you're watching the Northwest Truck Series, presented by Walls and Beardco here on Virtual Racing Network, a division of RaceOnTexas.com. Of course, I am one of your hosts here in the booth. Alongside with me, Charles, myself, is Phil and David. So we have 3 in the booth here tonight. We have, again, whatever my title is, and then we have our kind of our race experts, and then some other kind of expert. We got titles everywhere. I don't even know what my title is, but we do have Phil and David here. We'll call Phil our race expert, and we'll call David our kind of inside source here into this league. But it's been a great race so far. We've got 22 laps down, 23 is what we're on, and unlike the original start, they're single file very quickly on this restart.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that right away too. They were all hungry to get down to the bottom, all on fresh tires. What do you think these guys have learned through this first 20-lap run there, coming up to this first caution flag there, David? How do they now have a feeling of how these trucks are going to handle? But what do you think these guys are thinking now as far as run in? How do you think they approach this next run they have here under this restart?
As I ride along with the 19, I kind of think through his mentality, because I've been teammates with him before. I've run races with him. I see how he thinks. I would start pushing the car a little bit harder here. I know what it's capable of. I tiptoed through the first 25 laps of the race. I know what the car is or is not capable of, and I know who is or is not faster than me. I would start pushing a little bit harder, getting a little bit more out of those tires, try to keep a couple of those Wicked Chassis trucks at least in sight That's one thing you want to do if you're anybody but the Wiki Chassis cars. You want to keep them in sight. And then just hopefully, for another decently long green flag run so that everybody's tires will be on a similar strategy to yours.
You know, one thing I want to see here, as I'm looking through the list, I do not see Jason Berg here tonight, so very interesting to see that Jason Berg is not here tonight. That's someone you always have to look forward to as well. But again, he is not here tonight racing with us, so we'll have to just keep an eye and see who's going to be the winner. I really don't know who's going to get the win here tonight. There's so many good drivers in here, and we're watching a really good battle currently going on for about third place.
They're 3 wide for second place. Anderson in the middle. Ottenbacher went all the way to the inside on the apron to make that pass from fourth. His teammate Breitzman is on the outside, and I believe third, and Brett Johnson's now in the picture. But I saw the 89 go down on that apron across the start-finish line 3 wide, and the only reason I knew that wasn't going to end badly is because I know that's John Ottenbacher. I know he can do it. My goodness, my heart was racing for a second there.
And it kind of caught me by surprise, too. And just watching the way these guys use that apron, utilize it down there, I come from a land of pavement racing where you kind of don't race down there. So kind of watching those guys attack it and make those bold moves, I guess it's a good, fast way around. You can make it work. You saw Ottenbacher do it right there. And his yellow truck is up ahead here. We had a good battle going on there between Caden Armstrong and I believe that's Bill Ross right behind him in the 17 truck, but I'm trying to peek up ahead here. Who's on the inside? That's Jason Hunt right there, the number 12 on the inside. Watching those guys go at it. Racetrack looks to be holding up really well right now. Looks like the middle's starting to give up, but watching those guys just go through that dog leg down the front stretch, it's almost breathtaking to watch as these guys approach the corners tonight at well in excess of 180 miles per hour. That's a whole lot of fun to watch.
Definitely is here now. While we're watching this battle, of course, we do want to once again thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're on the VRN YouTube page, the VRN Facebook page, or the Full Velocity TV Facebook page, as we have brought our partnership to the next level here, as per se. Definitely a lot going on here between VRN and Full Velocity TV. But thanks everybody for tuning in here. We have less than 100 laps to go. We have 96 laps to go. And I bring that up because we started this race at about 94 degrees. And we're up to 104 degrees. So we have gone up 10 degrees on this track since the start of the race. And it is continuing to go up the more they lay down heat into this track.
Yeah, it's starting to get warm. It's getting greasy for sure. The trucks are starting to slide around. And what we saw on the restart, guys, were you saw all those guys start hugging down low. And so you start to burn off a little bit of the fuel, burn off some of the goodie of a tire. Upstairs, David, they're just going to start to migrate up to the middle side and toward the high shelf of the racetrack. Do you think that's where the grip is going to take us as these things get greasy?
Absolutely. On Monday night, we ran the Xfinity series here. Those are fixed setup cars as opposed to these trucks, which are open setup cars. I was actually in that field in the Xfinity car, and I noticed about halfway through the race, everybody else was still pretty much nailed to the inside line. The only grip I was finding was halfway up the racetrack. And that's with the fixed setup, which any oval racer will tell you the fixed setup is one of the worst things you can drive in any car. But yeah, the grip is going to start moving up if it's not already halfway up the track by now. I'm looking at some places further back in the pack where people are running single file and they're still just running halfway up the racetrack. I've seen cars running almost all the way up to the wall here before, but that's a skill I reserve for drivers that are way better than I am.
Well, you're obviously a much better driver than I am because you talk about fixed setups being the worst thing you can drive. I come from a fixed setup background. I know nothing about these open setups. You put me out here, I'm a complete fish out of water, so Charles, you fed me to the wolves here tonight. We're open setup racing, and this guy's out here saying fixed setup racing's the worst. I completely at a loss.
Well, definitely, when you get guys that spend hours upon hours, these are some of the best. We've been here Saturday night. They come in here about 9 o'clock Central Time, my time anyway. And they're here, some of them are here till midnight, 1 a.m. working on these setups. So, and that's the practice session per se. There's a way more time that gets put into these. These guys are on here at least 3-4 times a week working on them. And, speaking of working on them, we mentioned the 83 of Chris White. I told you to keep an eye on him. He started 24th. He's up to 11th right now. He is working his way through this field, picking off drivers slowly but surely. On the flip side of that, if we go just a few spots back, if we can find him anyway. I can't seem to find Jason or Coley. There he is, Josh Coley. Started 26th, he's up to 18th. He started moving forward as well, but not quite as much as I really figured he would at this point in the game. And of course, then we have Steve Silstad started 19th, and he's fallen back to 24th, so he's also going in the wrong direction here. So we got some movers, and we got some people that ain't moving well.
And I'm kind of taken back by looking at the complexion. You're talking about our biggest movers of the race now, Chris White from 24th up to 11th, but I'm looking at the opposite side of that, and I'm looking at our outside pole sitter of a 28 of William Fletcher. He's back there running now, holding on for dear life to hold on to a top 10 over Chris White's 83. So that's a complete different role right there. A guy who I thought was going to be fast out of the gate with that 2-lap setup in. It may have been something completely different under the hood, but it just shows there, David, as you talk about fixed setup to a transition to open setups, the qualifying set versus the race set. A guy like from the outside looking in, I thought the 28 would be a player early. I was completely wrong. It's a completely different flavor.
Yeah, I can't speak too much for the 28 specifically, but I will definitely attest to the fact that you'll drive a setup that's built to go 5 miles, and then everything will just pop. There's nothing as on that truck that's designed to go more than just 2 laps, maybe 3 laps around a track like this, and that you have to try and build something that's going to go 80 miles, a full fuel run. It's going to go an entire race if it has to. That's a completely different science. But the guys that are currently up at the front, like Mark Wall, Sean Breitzman, I go back a little bit to John Ottenbacher, all in the top 5, all the Wicked Chassis teammates. They're good at both sides of it. They're good at building race setups. They're good at building qualifying setups. And they do it week in and week out. They're always qualifying near the front. They're always running near the front. But it is a completely different science to try and put together a qual setup and try and put together a race setup.
Charles, I've been watching this really good battle going on between the 89 of Ottenbacher and the 12 of Jason Hunt. Jason running down low, Ottenbacher running up high. They've been stuck in this formation for about a good last 3 or 4 laps in a dead heat side by side. No lane seems to have an advantage right now. Not sure where you've been looking or watching the race go from, but that battle for the 5th spot up there, that's really been a dandy.
We have indeed been watching that as well, and you're right, not really any particular line seems to be gaining any type of advantage here. I would say getting that clean air out front is the one single advantage, but then again, it's Mark Walls out front, so we really don't know if it's his setup or if it's the clean air. However, though, I do want to point out that you have him, Sean Breitzman, and Dan West Jr., that have a significant lead over the rest of this field, and they do have a good chunk in between each one of them. So I think one of the biggest keys here is going to be tires, but I think clean air is going to be a huge key for these drivers here tonight if they want to get out front and stay out front.
I think that's pretty safe to say right there, and I'm sure David is the expert here as far as the on-track stuff goes, the insider to the group over here at Northwest Racing Series. I'm sure you will 100% agree with that. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, I've not specialized very much in clean air. I've seen what clean air does for other drivers, but I've not really specialized in that all that much.
I feel you. I absolutely feel you there. As a guy, I call my personal blog and my racing adventures The View from the Back, because that's usually where I sit, and that's kind of where I sit tonight here, second chair with VRN, so alongside the wizard down here at the Charles Wooten, who's as talented at this job here as there possibly could be, and it's cool to be a part of this team. But I've been kind of floating back here, Charles. There's a race going on for about 9th on back with Fletcher's 28, White in the 83, and Bill Ross Jr. 17, who was way up high, and that thing was looking to be handling absolutely terribly right now. And as I say that, wouldn't you know, I'm showing the 17 screening for tires. We are a second caution flag of the event now, working lap 43.
We do, and Jeff Stab now involved in it here. He's going to have to tow, it looks like. Let's go back and take a look here at the replay cameras, we go to our aerial cam, brought to you by Sames Ford, Texas' oldest dealership. And we'll see what happened here. Oh, I'm not sure if the 24 of Jeff Stabenow slid up into the 04 of Shane Quinn, or if we had a little bit of net code going on there. We'll see if we can't get another look at that and see what might have happened. But definitely there was contact between those two, it looks like.
Yeah, I saw that going on down there in turn 2, and what's funny is that actually kind of plays in a little bit into what I was going to observe and what they're doing on the racetrack. We mentioned them going into the corner, starting to come off that white line into the middle of the racetrack. What I'm noticing some guys doing is entering high or entering middle, going down to the very bottom of the racetrack, just at the apex of the corner, to float right back out to the outside. They're not running the inside per se, they're not running the middle per se. What it appears is what happened there is the 04 of Shane Quinn was running the middle and was going to run the middle the whole way through, and Stabenow was ready to do the apex style run. He was ready to come straight off the corner, float up to the outside a little bit, but the Quinn just did not get up quick enough for him to make that move. So I don't know if that's a fault of either the 04 or the 24. I think it was just a different idea of how a car would be fastly going out of the corner between the two of them.
Well, what I would observe from the outside of that, watching that one happen, you would think of that situation, if you were the 24, knowing you had that truck outside, the spotter at that point is going to be telling you he's there. You got to think, Dave, that's obviously going to change the approach, the way you'd approach that next corner. As much as he's been running his line the whole night, maybe not be a fault. You got to think he's going to know that guy is out there, and I think Stabenow got to know that Quinn's out there at that point, and I would have thought he would have taken a different approach to the corner, but hey, you run that apex, you got your truck so ingrained and set up that way, I guess that thing's just kind of happened.
Yeah, Stabenow's had, I mean, I've raced here long enough, I've seen enough incidents, I've been involved in enough incidents. Stabenow has a slight unlucky horseshoe that's followed him around in some instances. I've seen him get dumped in the final corner of races before. I've personally ended his race a couple of times, never on purpose, I will go on the record to say. But yeah, that's a very unfortunate break for Jeff Stabenow. The fortunate thing is, and I'll say this, is that these cars do have one fast repair to use. And so hopefully, with any luck, Stabenow was able to use that fast repair here. He'll just have to wait on that towing. He might be one lap down at this point, and with over 60, 70 laps to go, he's got more than enough time to get back up there to the front.
Yeah, a good, clean race truck, that'll do for Jeff Stabenow's number 24. But Charles, he says he's had the unlucky horseshoe, and I think it's probably been a couple of times, as I heard you say earlier in our post-production, our pre-production show this evening. Probably because you probably picked Jeff to win a time or two.
Yeah, he says every time I picked him, he's won. There's been times that I picked him that he has not won. But for the most part, he does pretty good. He's had, mixed results here this season so far. He's been up front and had bad luck, and unfortunately back here in the back having a little bit of bad luck. They do have one fast repair, though, so he should be able to get back out there and make things happen, as the lights are still on the pace car here at the moment. So we are going to step away here real quick for a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, in the pace car diving off here. It doesn't even just drive off. It utterly dives off the track onto pit road. There it is, green flag back in the air. You're watching the Northwest Truck Series, presented by Walls at Beer Co. here on Virtual Racing Network, a division of RaceOnTexas.com. As it is Mark Walls still out front. He's led 35 laps here tonight. He hasn't led every lap, but he basically has led the majority of them. Dan West Jr. still behind him in second place, followed by Sean Brightsman, Brett Johnson, and Caden Anderson are your top 5 here after 47 laps complete.
And I'm just kind of watching the restart. I watched the 7 truck here, and we talk about Brett Johnson, a guy who started 13th tonight, outside the top 10, so it wasn't on our radar early on. For a guy like myself who doesn't know Brett, give us some background. Is this a guy we can expect to be a player here later on, Danny?
I've seen him do well before, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he does have at least one win in either the Trucks or Xfinity, but it has been a while since I've checked on the records on that. He is a good driver, though, and I've had many a battle with him, and I've lost many a battle with him. As far as I remember correctly, he's not one that qualifies up at the front, but if you had to choose between qualifying up front and finishing up front, I think the vast majority of racers would say that they want to finish up the front. So Johnson can sacrifice his qualifying position for a run like this. He's right there inside of the 46 and the 89, both Wicked Chassis trucks. Challenging for, I believe, that's third now, as Dan West is within 2 car lengths of the leader.
He definitely is. He's right there. That's probably the closest battle we've seen for the lead as well. The question is, will those two continue to battle? Meanwhile, Sean Brightsman, Brett Johnson, Ottenbacher, all these guys behind them are really bunched up here, and I'm wondering maybe if John Ottenbacher's got a little bit faster car here, or truck, as well look. Times don't indicate it, so I don't think those front two there, Sean Brightsman and Brett Johnson, are slowing him up any, but definitely a huge little gaggle of cars, whatever you want to call them here, right now for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and well, all the way to about 12th place.
I'm looking 3rd, basically back to 20th at this point, in all of my one picture frame here.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a high-speed chess match. It almost looks like a high-speed pace lap out here at Las Vegas. And what are we, 5 laps into a restart? How long do you think they can hold this pace up being side by side the way they are before one of these trucks just start handling evil? Because they're all out at white knuckle right now. As you said, from 3rd to about 20th, they're basically side by side back there. Are we at Vegas or are we at Talladega?
We're at Vegas, unfortunately, and what that means is that if these guys go much further, as I see Johnson jump down on the apron, a slightly shorter way around, but it is harder on the tires. If this keeps up with multiple grooves, multiple people running inside and outside of each other around the racetrack, not only will it allow the front 2 or 3 to get away, but it's also going to hurt these guys' tires. So even though they may be able to get a position or 2 out of this group and be better than this group, the leaders are just walking away from them into the next zip code. So that's a danger, but Brightsman is the first car to break away from that group, dragging his teammate Ottenbacher alongside of the cars right behind him. So now we'll basically get to see whether or not this theory is correct, if the 46 of Brightsman can reel in the 55 of Dan West in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it definitely is. And to the question, yes, we are live here on the Virtual Racing Network channel. On the YouTube side of things, the Facebook side of things, we're also live on the Full Velocity TV Facebook page. Get a little bit lower count here on the view count than we want, so definitely share it out there with all your buddies. But then again, we are going on midnight here Central Time, and even later if you're on the other side of the coast. If you're in the Pacific, it's only about
Still their time.
It's not. It's early their time. It's late here, but that just shows you we love doing this series. We're going to be here for many years to come as Mark Walls leading this race. And again, that's not even the battle. The battle's back here with about Caden Anderson, Chris White, Matt Henry. These guys right here really putting on a heck of a battle for the fans.
It's really a good race to watch, but what I'm kind of starting to observe here is that, high-speed double file kind of deal all around. Well, it's almost looking to organized chaos now there, David, as the tires may be starting to go away. Guys are starting to feel, hey, maybe we're overdriving these things. What we saw, those guys were too wide for about 8 rows deep. Well, it's pretty tame now. They're only side by side, about 2 or 3 rows deep. How do you think these trucks are handling right now versus where this run started?
Oh, it's getting... Well, actually, I was going to say it's getting worse. Now I look at the track temperature. It's actually down 7 degrees to 97 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not as bad as it could be. I'm watching a truck fall back to the pack, and I'm not close enough to see who that is. It looks like...
It's the one of Hayden Armstrong. I'm not sure if he's lost a tire or an engine or something, but that thing is definitely not up to speed.
Yeah, he is only doing about 86 miles an hour. And the good news for the rest of the field, anyway, is he is off the track, so no caution will come out, as we just happen to be watching him, too. If I didn't know better, I would say he blew the engine. I didn't see any smoke, but definitely looks like he is down a few cylinders.
I went in car with that one. I don't even hear the engine running, so... I mean, one of those things, you lean these setups out too far, you get stuck there side by side, you can't pick a lane, you get these things hot. I think that may have happened there. He's definitely not running, and now at this rate, I'm wondering if he's even going to make it back to pit road or make it a caution out of this.
He is stopped, I believe, completely, and he's going to tow that car, so no caution out of that, but that's unfortunate. No theory as to what happened there. Hardware failure, either on his computer or in the truck. I have no idea what happened there, but Caden Anderson had an impressive run going last week at Texas, and that's just unfortunate for that one truck.
And we do have Caden here that we can try to get him in here real quick. Let's see if we can't pull him up here very quickly here from Hector Strong. Caden Anderson, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, we're all wondering here in the booth, and I say all three of us because we got a full house here tonight, what happened to that one machine as you were running so strong? And we're wondering, did the engine blow, or was it a fuel or mechanical issue?
I'm not sure. I guess my pit crew decided they didn't want to fill up the truck, so we ran out of fuel.
Definitely not what you want to see there. Is we did hear the engine was off. And it came close to making it back to pit road, so after this race, of course, it looks like you'll probably be firing them and getting a new pit crew.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before we let you go here, David or Phil, do y'all have any questions here for him?
Well, you're getting the tow back to pit road. I mean, the truck's still good. You're going to put fuel in that thing? You're able to get back out there and make some laps or points? Because you had a really, really good, fast, solid truck.
Yeah, I'm heading back out right now. Hopefully we can get some cautions here so I can get back on the lead lap, but it's going to be tough to do that.
Well, best of luck to you, Caden. We know you've been able to put on a show in this series before, and we know even if this isn't your week, you'll be able to do it again. So best of luck knocking some of those laps off and getting back in the hunt, Caden.
Oh, and there's your caution you needed right there. We'll let you get going. We're going to go see what the caution was for. That's exactly what he needed, and it's going to be Casey Tillman. That looks like he drove through a minefield here in the number 92 machine, and we got 2 or 3 other cars smoking, so let's go back and see what happened as we go to the caution, to the aerial cam. Ooh, and contact between the 92 and I believe that's the 49.
And I would weigh in on that, except for the fact that my sim didn't render all the cars, so I actually am not entirely sure what happened there. But yeah, that's a lot of damage for the 92 truck.
It is indeed. So heavy damage for several trucks out there after that one. So caution coming back out once again. Again, all cautions brought to you by Hanover Record Service. That's caution number 3 for 8 laps. You know, we said 3 to 4 cautions, and right now, by the way, we are exactly at the halfway point. I expect everyone to come down pit road, and no surprise there. We'll let you in, or we'll catch you up anyway on how pit road goes. And we're going to step away for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll let you know how pit stops went and if anybody had any mistakes on there.
Hi, I am Thermaltake. Say command.
What is the weather like in LA?
The weather is clear in LA.
What is the weather like in New York?
The weather is rain in New York.
Use flow mode.
Low.
Say hello, TT.
Hello, TT.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, as caution lights are off on the backstretch here. We are on lap 66 of 125, which means we have 59 laps to go when we get the green flag. This race is past the halfway point here, as right now it is Sean Brightsman and Mark Walls leading this field to the green flag. Technically, Sean Brightsman leading them, but two teammates on row one here for the restart. This could get very interesting between teammates.
And I'm very, very, proud that I've accumulated a guy on the team that can do math, because it was my normal partner, Todd, from Full Velocity TV. We would probably still be doing corn math, trying to figure out how many laps there is to go. But green flag going to go back in the air. Brightsman's going to bring that 46 car out to the front of the field. Wall's going to fall in there for second. 55 going to ride up to third, Dan West Jr., but it's going to be anybody's guess there, David, off at turn number 2. Fourth on back, that's where the gaggle is going to start. The 7 of Johnson going to lead that train, but they're too wide locked in there behind him.
Yeah, behind him, but the front 6 all of a sudden just went to single file almost immediately. So they're locked in on trying to chase down that 46 truck. The 55 of Dan West running third. We've seen him be really fast on restarts before. We'll just wonder how quickly his tires fall off and how quickly he's using his stuff up. Mark Walls has led the majority of this race, and now he's looking for a way around the teammate Sean Brightsman. Those two guys, among the best of friends, they're teammates. They've been Wicked Chassis mates for the longest time, longer than I've been around. And I know they know each other's driving styles very well. They're very comfortable with pushing each other to the limits. And that might be interesting, watching the 48 and 46 battle for the lead. Even with the 55 looming behind them, because these two guys at the front, they know exactly what each other is capable of.
And I'm going to put this... Oh, go ahead, Charles.
Right, while we were watching back there, their other teammate, the 89 of John Ottenbarger, getting roughed up a little bit back here as he's going to go to the apron and fall from about 9th place to 23rd, as he is going to lose a ton of spots. I don't
He's
see
still falling. Oh my goodness.
He is indeed falling way through this field right now, all the way back down to 23rd now.
That's certainly a tough break there for the 89. He's got a really good truck as well, and I'm not sure if he just got dropped, kicked out of line, got the tires dirty, or whatever the heck happened there, but from up there in the top 10 to maybe now outside the top 20, definitely outside the top 20, that definitely a tough break. But looking at these guys up front, Mark Walls has once again reclaimed the lead aboard that 48 truck, and now beginning to set sail to the 55 right there in his tire tracks as we saw before. But I want to keep in the back of your mind, Charles, and ask you this question as the guy who's shown me to be the math major up here. We took this restart on, I think, what was it, lap 67. Well, we're talking fuel calculations about 55 to 56. Is it possible somebody can make it from here if you squeeze every ounce of fuel out of that thing if we stay green?
It is possible. It really just depends on how much they can serve. We've heard anywhere from 50 to 60, so I think we're going to see them come down at least one more time just to be safe, as nobody wants to run out. But then again, it's Las Vegas. This is where you gamble.
I've seen gambles at Las Vegas pay off in this series and in their Xfinity series before. I can guarantee you, though, without a shadow of a doubt, top 10, top 15 cars, they've made their bed. They're not worried about fuel mileage at all. They understand they're going to have to pit again at some point. They are not holding any illusions about milking it the rest of the way. If I'm back in 20th position or so, if I'm John Ottenbacher at this point, that might be crossing my mind if the threshold is anywhere near the amount of laps that we have left.
I'm never even ever considering it. If there was even a remote chance that I could eliminate pit road again and eliminate that chance at a mistake and we stay green, I got my eye on the prize. I could let these guys up front take all the speed they want, put that throttle to the ground and let it roll. I'm going to be back here. I'm going to save my stuff, keep my tires under me, and I'm going to eke every drop on a fuel of that thing as I can, because last I checked, Charles, less time you spend on pit road equals the less time you give up on the racetrack. I may be wrong, but most times, 9 out of 10 times, you're usually pretty much right.
Definitely, any time you spend on pit road is time you're going to lose a position, especially if it's green, the flag racing. And, you know, it never seems to fail. Somebody, if there's going to be a caution, will be caught on pit road when that caution comes out and just ruin their day from that point on. So you never want to be caught a lap down, stuck on pit road like that, and then have to start at the back of the field. Once those green flag pit stop cycles start, you want it to go all the way through. You do not want to be that guy or guys that get trapped a lap down, especially if you're one of these, front guys. If you start it, you do not want to be there, and that tends to be how it happens. Is it's the front 10 guys in that area, maybe even top 15 sometimes, that end up usually getting caught, have coming down pit road, and then you're a lap down. And then you get the wave around at that point, but you have serious work cut out for you.
It's all luck of the draw at this point. It's all the luck of who turns where, does what, when. Yeah, and I've had races go both directions on me before. I've actually won a race in the iRacing IndyCar Open Leagues at Pocono by strategy, by deciding to back off and try to save a full lap of fuel, let everybody else just run their guts out. They all had to pit. I managed to coast to the finish line, my one and only IndyCar oval win to date. So I know it's possible, and I've seen some crazy finishes and fuel mileage come down in this series before. Jeff Stabnow has pulled a couple off from my memory.
Hey, definitely. Good.
Charles, I'm looking at this comers and goers, and we updated it earlier on, but you talked before about a guy like Josh Cully's number 33. Started deep in the field, started 26th. I don't believe he qualified. He did not post a lap in qualifying. Started deep in the field. He has worked his way up into the 8th position, and that 33 truck, as this race goes on, keeps getting better and better and better. As I saw him about 3 laps ago, go to the inside of the 17 of Bill Ross Jr. Josh Cully from the back, it's not impossible to run these guys down. The 48 and the 46 look like they're in a different area code, but this 33 truck looks to have a little bit something underneath it that a lot of others certainly don't.
Yeah, Chris White, another one of those, 24th to 6th place. So 2 drivers that started at the rear of this field, working their way up, using pit strategy as part of that, of course, to get yourself through this field. I don't think anybody's taken 2 tires here. I think it's been 4 every time. But these guys are using every bit of strategy they can to work their way through this field here tonight. And those guys doing a good job of it. Jason Hunt sitting in third, and he may have those two drivers in his rearview mirror before you know it, as he's got his hands full with the 55 and the 7 of Dan West Jr. and Brett Johnson.
That 55 car doesn't just like to leave well enough alone, does he? He keeps picking fights on the racetrack, and it's great to watch. He keeps battling for the lead, battling for second, third, fourth, wherever he is, letting everybody else know he's there and that he means business and wants to get back up toward the front. And yeah, to your point, there's some drivers that week in, week out, you can count on them to be contenders. Those would be our top two, such as Walls and Breitzman. On occasion, you also put Ottenbacher and Stabnow up there. Then you have a cut of drivers. I would include Jason Hunt in that, Brett Johnson, Chris White, Josh Cully, a couple other guys, but those four come to mind more than anybody else as being people who are sneaky. They will get up there before you know it, and all of a sudden they will be running top 2, top 3, maybe even leading, and you wonder where they came from, and then you realize they're always hanging around. They're just a tad off what the Wicked Chassis cars are able to do, but they are able to get a lot out of the trucks and what they're able to design out of them. I'd like to do a quick shout out over on the Facebook page for VRN. Jim Reese, yes indeed, this is the Northwest Truck Series, and the Northwest Xfinity Series is the sister series to this. It is populated entirely of drivers that are from Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Alaska, and I believe Wyoming may be part of this as well. But every single one of these guys are from the Northwest Club. I mean, you think that drivers of great talent, of people who can drive trucks well on a regular basis, you'd find them all over the U.S., you'd find them all over the world even. But these drivers, as good as they are, they're from one small area of the United States, just the Northwest Club.
Yeah, they are indeed some of the best in the Northwest, and totally did not know that was going to rhyme, just kind of came out with it here as we were looking at the 72 in chat on the move as well, so we'll pull his stuff up from 23rd to 11th, so BJ Tidrick on the move as well. So he is, fighting and clawing to get every position he can, just shy of a top 10 right now in the number 72 Georgia Boats Chevrolet. We'll see if he can crack the top 10 here shortly. But again, a lot of battles going on. John Ottenbacher, though, let's check back in with him real fast. Started 5th. He's back in at 20th right now, but he did fall all the way back to 23rd was his lowest position. And unfortunately, just so far, really hasn't been able to pick up too many more positions as he's back there with Matt Henry, who we mentioned earlier was the fastest driver in practice.
He certainly was. But Ottenbacher, he said he was a top, arguably top 5, top 10 truck early. Currently running in the 20th position, had that move on a line. I think he's going to be one of those guys on the short list, David, of guys who we probably can bet from here. I've got the eyes on the fuel gauge, and probably just knowing he's got 10-plus seconds he's going to make up between himself and his teammates that are running up front. You got to think he's going to be the guy at the top of the list as one of those that maybe to watch this thing stays green. He'd be one of those guys out there definitely going to try to run it dry.
If I were driving that 89 truck, that's exactly what would be going through my mind. I would be calculating everything on the fuel calculator. I'd have my crew chief app up, trying to figure out how much I could push where, when. I'd have my family and friends here trying to figure out how much I could push it, how much I could glide it and coast it. But yeah, back there in that position, that is where you'd really want to start thinking about it, because there's no way that even a great driver like Walls or Breitzman, not saying Ottenbacher's not an amazing driver in his own right, but even the leaders this far back in the pack, they wouldn't have enough time, they probably wouldn't even have enough opportunity to get up through everybody in this field. A top 10 with just running flat out, maybe. But if you're back here in 20th place, you're going to have to think slightly outside the box. Then you're going to have to come up with something else than just trying to brute force your way back up through the field.
I've been keeping an eye on the 65 truck about Steve Selstead. He just made his way around the 10 truck of McClure there on the low side, put Steve now up to that 11th position. Those guys are really going at it. They were side by side for about 2 or 3 laps, and I got to think that's an interesting adventure now. There's we're probably 20-plus laps in since our last restart, so the tires are going away, Charles. The racetrack is only, I believe, gotten hotter. I believe the air temp has even got hotter, so you got to think these guys side by side right now, they got to be a handful. It was a long battle there, 3 laps. I'm kind of stunned it took that long for the 65 to make the move down low.
Yeah, air temp right now about 75 degrees. I believe it's gone up at least a degree or two. Your track temp 108 right now. We still got that 6-mile-per-hour wind out of the southwest here with 38 laps to go. Going to be 37 at the line. And we're watching that battle here between Steve Silstad and BJ Tidrick. That is for 10th position at the moment, as it looks like Steve Silstad's going to get it. Let's go back here and back to the front. We have a little bit of a battle starting to brew here between Sean Brightsman and Mark Walls, as teammates not going to give each other an inch. These guys are going to battle till the very end. And we already know here, and you'll find out very soon, that there is no pecking order in these teams. Mark Walls may have 2 wins on the season. Sean Brightsman needs one to be locked into the chase. But, the 48, Mark Walls is not going to hand it to him.
No, he's not going to hand it to him at all. But he knows full well what his car is capable of. And so, it's funny as I'm watching the 46 get around him on the inside. It looks a little too easy, and I'm not sure what the situation is here. They're so far ahead of the rest of the pack. I'm trying to decide if the 46 was saving a bit earlier, saving his truck, saving his tires, letting the 48 walk away. And now the 48 is starting to lose that grip, and the 46 is just using what's come back to him. Or if it was the other way around. If now the 48 is saving a little bit in the hopes of, later in the run, if we go green flag all the rest of the way, he's got slightly better tires at the end. Let Brightsman get ahead of him now for something better later. I really don't know. But one thing I do know, these two guys, they're teammates, they run with each other a lot. I said this already before, but they know what each other is capable of. And so I don't think Walls is uncomfortable at all with Brightsman getting around him. It plays into his strategy in one way or another.
I'm going to play devil's advocate on that one and go a completely different route. I'm thinking that Brightsman was doing all he can to stay with the 48, as the 48 is looking to be the class of the field here once again tonight. But I'm wondering now if Sean may be saving the fuel behind the 48 car. Maybe Mark kind of woke up to that and say, you know what, I could probably save a little bit more if I let him go out front and take the clean air and maybe let me draft, because you got to think the draft is going to play a role there, especially at speeds in excess of 160 plus miles per hour through these corners.
It would. It definitely would. But Brightsman did work his way back from... I wasn't watching, but I think Brightsman was working his way back from almost a second back. It's not that much of a draft effect from there. And even now, he's walking away again. So, I don't know if this is strategy. I don't know if this is just tires and how hard they ran it or are running it now. But it's interesting. It's been a while since we've had a proper green flag pass for the lead on Mark Walls. And if there's anybody that's capable of doing it, 46 is Sean Brightsman. He's out there doing it now.
And I think, Charles, you're going to see here as we get the interval next time around, hit start-finish line, as time gets scoring resets. I think it's safe to say that Mark Walls is probably out there just pedaling right now aboard that 48, letting it roll, because Brightsman's now, he's got a pretty good lead there, over 8/10, so almost a full second over teammate in the 48 now, versus Dan West Jr., Chris White, those guys running in tandem behind third and fourth. They are starting to run down the back of the 48. Mark, I got to feel, is looking down at that fuel pressure right now and saying, you know what, it's close. We may have to save a little bit. I'm wondering if that's what the 48's taking.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too, and he's going to get passed by Dan West Jr. here, and it looks like Chris White's going to be coming into the picture soon. And I'm also wondering if he's going to, if they decide they are going to break this up and they are going to come back down pit road, and they know they're going to have to, is he going out there to try and conserve just a lap or two worth of fuel, just enough that he can stay out just a little bit longer than everybody else and have those fresher tires for the last little stint of this race? That is always a strategy he could be using as well.
Entirely possible. And I've used strategies like that before. Just try and pit one lap later than everybody else. Maybe there'll be a caution with like 8 laps to go. Leave us with 3 or 4 laps to just pedal to the finish line as hard as we possibly can. And let me tell you, when you're trying to do that, 1 lap on your tires does make a difference, especially at a track that's hot and slick like this. Walls is slipping back. He's into 4th place. He's several seconds behind his teammates now. Next car that's going to be putting him on the chopping block is the 12 of Jason Hunt. And the 48 is slow, coming to pit road right now.
I was just going to ask, if he made that bet early on, knowing that he was going to lead the field out in clean air, burn more fuel than the rest of the guys behind him were, how much longer he'd afford to know he was going to lose track position out there, slip sliding back to 4th. And I guess we've answered that now as the 48 of Mark Walls is coming onto pit road. The wonder I have right now is, he's going to put fuel in that thing, but we still got, 30 laps, a little shy of 30 laps to go. What do you think he's going to do for tires?
That is a good
Put them
question.
all on. Put them all on. Get 6 tires if possible.
Yes, and he is indeed going to take 4 tires and fuel. And we have more drivers coming down as it looks like the 12 is going to get loose on pit road. And that's going to cost them some time. But we have Brightsman. Well, basically, the entire field. Coley coming down. It looks like we're also going to have, well, just about everybody coming down pit road here at the moment. Thurston coming down. Jason Hunt, Josh Coley, Frank Harris, Steve Hutchinson. So a ton of drivers starting to come down pit road now.
So what they've done here is they've split the green flag run in half. I mean, you could make, say your fuel load is 40 laps, and there's 60 laps left to go when you take that last restart. Instead of running all 40 laps and then running 20 at the end, there is also a strategy that says, let's just break it in half. Even though we have 10 more laps in this fuel run, if we have 10 more laps in these tires, you still can just break it in half, do 30 laps and 30 laps, and get as much out of the tire wear as you possibly can. The 55, by the way, a pole sitter of Dan West Jr. had to back up into his pit stall slightly after overshooting. That's going to cost him, I would say, maybe a position or two on the track.
That's what I talked about earlier, is that crucial mistake that you could make on pit road, that couple extra feet he may have had to overslide and back up. That's precious time on the racetrack. That was a good solid tie 5 run the 55 had. This is a long extended pit stop for Dan West Jr.
I did that 3 times in the Xfinity race here on Monday, and let me tell you, that did me absolutely no favors. Let me just say real quick who's the second driver on the track right now, behind leader William Fletcher, John Ottenbacher. Imagine what would happen if the caution were to come out in the next lap or two if Ottenbacher's still out on the racetrack. Some drivers might gamble, come back in, some drivers might not. Ottenbacher would stay out, maybe catch a bunch of these guys a lap down. I would actually put money down. This is Vegas, so I think I might even. That might be part of his strategy. All I need is one driver to mess up their entry onto pit road, one driver to spin out or make a mistake, and all of a sudden, Ottenbacher is back up with the big dogs again.
He is indeed, and we got the 39 of Jason Bortles going to slow down. He's going to go to pit road as well. Oh, looks like we got Matt Henry coming down as well as Tom Green. So pit stops are trying to kind of sort themselves out here. It looks like Jeff Stabnow a lap down. He has not come down yet, and neither has William Fletcher, John Ottenbacher, or Gary Nichols. Everyone else has made the trip down pit road for their last pit stop of the race. Jeff Stabnow coming down now.
And you can see, if you go back and look at William Fletcher right now, he's in between the 46 and 48, and as I count it down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all of a sudden the 48 is by him. You can see just how quickly people who are on newer or fresher tires can absolutely track down and pass the guys on older tires. Fletcher started that last lap ahead of both of those cars. He's now 2 seconds behind the 46 of Brightsman, and that's just getting further and further away. So this is gonna hurt Fletcher a maybe. But if the caution comes out right now and a bunch of these drivers are caught a lap down, he's in great shape, as is Ottenbacher, as is Nichols. The question is, how long can you push it before you finally just have to pull the plug and say, I've got to go?
Definitely, they've got to make a decision. They're kind of stuck in their decision anyway right now, as William Fletcher is the only one that has not come down pit road just yet. As you see right there, it's going to be John Ottenbacher sitting on pit road. So how much longer will William Fletcher stay out? As of right now, there are only 3 cars on the lead lap.
And Sean Brightsman's going to be taking the second place from John Ottenbacher, who's rolling off the pit lane now. And Brightsman goes by him into turn 1 at full speed. Ottenbacher maybe doing 90. He's also a lap down. So, I don't know. There's strategy everywhere. And right now it's working for Fletcher, but the moment he has to come down and give it up, his bed's made. And Brightsman, however, has legged it out over Mark Walls a little bit. The difference there is over a second. And we have, I believe, 22 coming up on 21 laps remaining. This is the battle, 46 and 48.
Yeah, so you were very close. Actually, we have 20. Oh, there it is, 20 laps to go. So, while we're at the 20 laps, not to cut you off there, Phil, but, we're at that point here, 20 laps to go, and we'll get everyone's opinion on this here real quick. What is the time to go point for you? 20 laps to go? I think with 10 laps to go, you've got to be making your way to the front or basically be there. So, Phil, we'll go to you as you were just about to say something. What is the go time for you?
I think the go time, we've already passed it. I think about 30 to go, you're going to start really getting after it. Knowing these guys are splitting that run in half, I'm looking up front. I think the 28 may have made the move of the race. Yeah, he hasn't come to pit road yet. The only one who hasn't done so. If there's somebody right now who can play the gamble of being that close on gas, I am rolling the dice of a 28 truck because, yeah, he's giving up 1 second a lap better to these guys behind him. Sean Bright's the last time by, it was still 25 seconds, now 23 and a half seconds. Well, that's a second and a half. We have 18 laps to go. If he can let that thing keep running underneath him, by the time the laps eclipse, Brightson and Walls, they'll probably be 1 second down coming to the checker flag. It's go time already for these guys. But 28, I think he's going to let it roll because I think he's got nothing to lose at this point. I think it's his race to lose.
And of course, the problem is we're not able to see the fuel gauges, and I don't know when Fletcher was last on pit road, so I have no idea how much fuel Fletcher is working with. I don't know if he is gambling on making it all the way. I don't know if he's just trying to draw it out as long as possible because he knows he can't make it all the way. I don't know, but it's going to be decently close at the line. Even if Brightsman and Walls do get past him and he goes all the way, he's got a top 5 finish pretty well locked up. I mean, BJ Tidrick, Brad Johnson, they're further back than Brightsman and Walls are. They're still 1 lap down, although the 72 of Tidrick is coming into the picture. He'll probably pass Fletcher in the next couple of corners. As far as go time goes, it changes with the complexion of the race. If this race were littered with cautions, I would not quite pull the trigger yet. If this race was constantly going back to caution, going back to green, I would still be slightly patient, even at this point. But the fact that we've gone, 40, 50 laps without a caution, we've had green flag pit stops, and we may go the rest of the way without them, I think the time to push down the gas pedal has already gone far beyond. We're already way past that now. It doesn't matter what position I am on the track, unless maybe I'm the 28. This would be when I'm putting the pedal to the metal as hard as I can, just try and reel in the next position, and just go for it as hard as I can.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking it's you want to go. We have 16 to go. It's going to be 15 at the line as the 72 of BJ Tidrick did get by William Fletcher. But again, he's still an entire lap away. He's not a lap down. He is ahead of the leader, but for all intents and purposes, still basically a lap down as he is going to have to fight his way back around this field if he wants to get officially back on the lead lap.
And you can see the 7 car of Brett Johnson. He's about to unlap himself now as well. He's going to be in that same scenario, as is the 2 of James Thurston, who's going to follow suit down to the inside as they're going to pass our current race leader Fletcher in the turn number 1 here. But these guys currently having great runs. You know, you got the 7 currently running in the 5th spot, the 2 of Thurston running the 6th. That's a really good night there. If you can finish there, you of course take a top 10 run. But you said that's a full lap around, and at this point, their beds are all made. I just cannot wait to see how this plays out, David. The 28 I'm fascinated by. I would have made the same exact call if there was even a remote chance I want to stay off of pit road, because you look up and down. Dan West Jr., pole sitter, was up there running with Brightsman and Walls. Well, where is he now with that mistake on pit road? 13th, 1 lap down. Even further back, you find the 12 of Jason Hunt, who's in the top 5. Crucial mistake getting on pit road, running in 19th. I would have spent as little time on pit road as possible. I love that call of the 28 can.
It is definitely a good call. I mean, even if he can't make it all the way, it's a great call trying to throw the dice and maybe get a caution. Because the caution comes out at any point, he's got a really good situation made. I'm actually looking in the race times right now. The last time that car number 28 was on pit road, I believe lap 64 under caution. That was 50 laps ago, and we still have 10 or 11 to go. And I've not been in these trucks for long enough. I don't remember how much fuel mileage is, but 64 to 125. Charles, any idea if he can make it?
That's going to be cutting it really close, I think, to make it. And, if you're someone like William Fletcher, he has been doing really good lately. Hasn't quite got that win, but he has been getting top 5, top 10 finishes. So definitely, if you've got a shot to try and get the win, I think you take it. As we're going to look back to last season's race. When we were here last season at Las Vegas, he started 12th and he ended up finishing 24th, 89 laps down. So he has got a good shot to win and to basically finish at the complete opposite end of where he finished last season, I think he's got to do whatever he has to do to try to get himself locked into that chase.
I can find no fault with what he's doing. I think it's a great call.
Oh, it's absolutely perfect, because look at it. It's still just shy of 15 seconds. He's got the advantage. We're working now lap 116 of 125. He's only giving up a little less than right around a second a lap. So you do the math here. If he can keep that thing running 9 laps, that's 14 seconds. He can even back off that pace a little bit. Save all the fuel he put. God, I love it. I can't say enough how much of a fan I am of that call. If you're going to put a risk out there and take one, I always say on the dirt, if you're going to send it, you got to send it huge. William Fletcher is sending it huge here tonight. It's Vegas. This is the place you make a gamble like this.
It's a perfect place to do it. And these are names that Phil's probably not going to know because they're from several seasons ago. But my team of Ryan Mays and Andy Vogt, we almost finished 1, 2, 3 here 3 seasons ago, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. That was a day that Wicked Chassis Racing fell apart. They had wrecks, they had bad luck, they had miscommunications on pit road, they got caught laps down with cautions, and all of a sudden the TRGA cars, we just got lucky, and some of us, I forget if it was Maines or Vogt, but one of them had a great strategy call that got them back up into the running. Andy Vogt ended up coming up with, I believe, his only truck win of his career based on a gamble that he made right here at Las Vegas. And that was a great break in the season that was dominated otherwise by John Ottenbacher and Sean Breitzman, I believe, were the dominators that season. Mark Walls was getting up there. I don't believe Stabnow won anything that season, but this was the place, of all the places on the schedule, where the gamble was made and it paid off. They couldn't do it again tonight.
And look at the pace that truck has pulled off at. Last time by 32.723 for the race leader William Fletcher. I don't
He's
know.
coming to pit road.
I've seen a bobble. He's almost out of fuel. Oh my word! He's gonna fall a little bit short here. Coming to 5 to go. Love the play. I'm a fan of that 28 number, the paint scheme I see. I'm hoping you're all seeing the Texaco Haviland scheme, being a big Davey Allison fan like I was. Hate to see him come up short, but you got to make the call, and he did, and that's going to hand the lead back over to Sean Breitzman now with the number 46 car. Mark Walls will be there for second, but, the 46 now comes out smelling like a rose, and he put that thing out in clean air before versus Walls, who backed off that pace to maybe save a little bit. It played right in Sean Breitzman's hand. He's got the lead here now with less than 5 laps to go. Could be hit being the big winner tonight in Sin City.
He did a great job. I will give up a 10th or 12th place finish for a chance to win any day. And even if he went that entire run knowing that he wasn't going to be able to make it, and if he watches this stream back and he's laughing at us for being silly and thinking he can make it all the way, I'm still a fan of the call. But I'm looking at Sean Breitzman and Mark Walls now. You're saying Walls is right there for second. He's right where for second? He's 3.5 seconds back, and Breitzman's walking away.
Well, one thing this does do, basically here for the most part, that puts about 16 more cars back on the lead lap with him coming down. He was keeping this group a lap down, and I have a feeling his strategy, I think he knew at this point he was going to run out of fuel. He was banking on a caution coming out here in these closing laps that would allow him to get fuel and these guys to have to stay out and get their lap back.
Sometimes you got to do something different, and I think that was a different call he made clearly the 46 to 48 with a class of the field out here tonight. You got to do something to beat him. You got to do something completely off kilter. Try to, dwindle down the advantage, try to pin guys a lap down. But I'm looking at the interval now. Mark Walls 4.4 seconds behind Sean Breitzman. That's just about the interval that he gave up once the 46 got him for the race lead there in that long green flag run before the 48 come to pit road. I really wonder if that was a mistake on Mark's part, maybe miscalculating when he had to split that run up.
I think they came to pit road like 1 or 2 laps apart, but that last lap, Walls gave up almost a full second of real estate, and we'll see again as the timing and scoring updates as they come to 2 laps to go. Breitzman across the line into turn 1, Walls 4.5, now 5 seconds back. 1 lap of difference on your tires is probably not going to make that much of a difference on the racetrack. I think what may happen here is that Breitzman finally just decided to pull the plug and uncork a car that he knew was good. He was just, letting Mark Walls know that he was okay, he was there. But now he has obviously the best car on the racetrack. There's a big bobble Jason Hunt right in front of him as they come to the white flag. And they're good. They're going to make it to the white flag. There will be no caution. Watch out, Jason!
And our leader gets taken out.
46.
That is not what he wanted to see. The white flag is in the air. No caution will come out. The question is, can Sean Brightsman hang on to the lead now? As that is going to be heavy damage. Mark Walls closing in.
Oh my goodness, this is unreal. 46 heading into turn 3 now. I see Mark Walls. He's cutting the gap. 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds, a second and a half, maybe. The 46 is up to speed, and I don't think the 48's got anything for him. I think it's over.
I think it's over as well. He's coming to the line, and even after all of that exciting finish, to say the least, the 46 of Sean Brightsman going to get the win here tonight. I can almost assure you he was sweating inside his seat right now, as that almost was a race ender for the 46.
That was a great run.
Wow.
I almost couldn't believe when I heard you say the 12 come up around and almost got the 46. Can you imagine putting a lead like that, having a night he just did there, and have that go up in smoke in the last lap? I guess that's why we call it racing, because you never know what's going to happen.
I've done that. I am ashamed to say I've done that. I've been that lapped car that got in somebody's way. Dallas Pataska, he is a driver in the Peak Antifreeze series. I ended one of his races early because I was that lapped car that got in his way. And let me tell you, as that car, there's no worse feeling. So I sympathize entirely with Jason Hunt. But still a great run by Sean Brightsman. A happier ending for him because he was able to limp it around and still get to the finish 1.369 seconds ahead of his teammate Mark Walls.
It definitely was, and he's going to go tear the truck up some more as if it wasn't torn up enough there at the end. That, of course, is going to do it for the racing action. We're not quite done just yet. We still have some more stuff to go through here, including your unofficial race results. So before we get to the post-race show, or officially into the post-race show, we'll go ahead and run through that. We got about 30 drivers here. Phil, do you want to run through our top 16, and then I will bring us home?
Absolutely. The winner tonight, Carver 46, Sean Brightsman taking down the win. Mark Walls in for second. James Thurston's number 2 in for third. Fourth, the 33 of Josh Cully comes from 26 to fourth. Running in our top 5, the 83 of Chris White. Sixth was BJ Tidrick aboard the 72. Corey Walters, number 9, comes home seventh. The 7 of Brett Johnson rolls off in finishes up P8th. Ninth, the 55 of Dan West Jr. and the 65 of Steve Selstead rounds out our top 10. 11th, Frank Harris aboard the 11. The 39 of Jason Borles will finish up 12th. D. Palmer brings the 30 home tonight with a 13th place finish. For the 19 of Matt Henry, 14th. 15th was Stephen Paulson in the number 58. And running in our top 16 was Tom Green in the number 77.
And the 17th is going to be the 89 of John Hotmarker. 18th, if I don't lose my voice here, is going to be the 28 of William Fletcher. 1 lap down. First car lap down. So top 20, still not bad for hanging in there as long as he could. 19th, 12 of Jason Hunt, who had their last-minute contact with your leader. 20th will be the 8 of Gary Nichols. 21st will be the 91 of Scott Hutchinson. The 22nd will be the 24 of Jeff Stabnow. 23rd will be the 17 of Bill Ross Jr. And 24th will be the 1 of Caden Anderson. 25th will be Doug Hunt in the 49. 26th, the 62 of Gerald Heffley. 27th will be the 10 of Justin McClure. And 28th will go to the 04 of Shane Quinn. 29th will be the 92 of Casey Tillman. 30th will be the 78 of Dan Stuzzi. And 31st will go to the 333 of James Vining. And that will round out your unofficial race results here for tonight. I am losing my voice now horribly bad. So before I completely lose it, we're going to step away to the post-race show. So give us just a minute and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe we do have third place here, and I believe David Applegate's going to be talking to him. So, David, we're going to hand the mic over to you.
And we have James Thurston, car number 2. Last time I looked at him on the racetrack, 6th place. However, with the late pit by the 28 and a couple of laps move on the 7 and the 72 trucks, he's got a podium finish. James, you want to walk us through that last 10 laps? What was going through your mind?
First off, thanks very much, David and team. Great broadcast as always. My goal was to just finish in the top 10 tonight, racing with these guys. This is definitely a first for me with this podium. And I just must have had a really good pit stop, received good track position, and was able to save my tires. I was running behind the 7 and just looking for an opportunity late to where I could get down inside. It's really tough to pass somebody on the inside here. But was able to make it stick and came home third. I was happy with it.
Yeah, how hard is it to save tires or save fuel at this racetrack? It's been a long time since I've been in these trucks. I know the builds have changed, I know the tracks have changed. How hard was that to pace yourself, or did it come naturally to you?
The setup that I got, this was one of the shared setups. I claim to be a driver, not a tuner. And so getting the setup from Jeff and team was a really basic setup. It was solid all the way through, never got loose, never really pushed, and the truck really came in with about 20 laps on the tires. I could just pretty much put it anywhere.
That's a great place to be. You have a sneaky finish to your race there. You weren't in the running for very much of it, but podium finish. I believe that's your best finish of the season, so congratulations on that, James. Is there any shout-outs you'd like to give to whoever was able to get you up here? Any shout-outs you'd like to give to the team?
Yeah, of course. Special thanks to Walls Beard Code for sponsoring the race, to you guys up in the booth. It's great watching the races. And for my old group that I used to race with at Too Old for Forza, I'm happy to share those colors on the car.
Thanks so much for putting on a show for us, James, and for coming up here. This is Vegas, where you got to know where to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to shut up, or they'll kick you out of the booth. All right, so we're going to move on to Phil Lacasse. He's got second place rocked and ready to go.
I absolutely do. I got Mark Walls from the 48 truck hopping out. And, Mark, I have to ask you, after having the dominant truck here the first half of the race, what the heck happened in the second half of the run here that let it get away from you? Yeah, we had a long green flag run, but was Brightson that much better, or did you just miscalculate the splitting that fuel run in half?
No, I just got outwheeled by the teammate. He was flying. I think second half of those fuel runs, he really came in and reeled it back in. I struggled. I had a good short run. It was free long run. I tried to hang on to it as best I could to keep the speed, but he was right there for long run and took it all the way.
So I guess it's safe to say then, when you were out front trying to drive away from him, you were trying to get away because you knew that truck behind you had a whole lot more speed than you did. A terrific run, but the way the racetrack really seemed to stay consistent. We know it was hot. We know it was going to be greasy. These trucks were going to slide around. Your truck seemed to stay really equal and neutral all night long. You two guys really had the class of the field, but that's got to be a testament to the team and the setup makers you guys have behind you.
Oh, yeah, the whole Wicked Chassis crew. We try to come prepared the best we can, and it showed tonight. We had some guys down with the luck, kind of the racing side of things, but as far as performance goes, it was right there. That just came down to driver who can wheel it looser, better, and faster, and John came up victorious and got the win for the team and for himself. It's first for him for the season, so congrats to him.
I'm so happy I got to do this at you guys here tonight as it's approaching 1:30 on the East Coast where I am. I got to say, it's very eye-opening to me to come out here and see you guys on the Northwest Racing Series. There's so much great talent all over the landscape, and it's so cool to have a guy like you, Mark, who I see has just seems like you've done it all so far in this series, in this league. So it's a pleasure to get to know you, talk to you, see you out there with your talent. But a big second-place finish here tonight on VRN and also out there live on the Facebook of Full Velocity TV. If anybody out there watching you want to say hello to, friends, family, sponsors, whoever may be out there responsible for getting that 48 out there, the floor is all yours. Take it away and give those guys all a shout-out.
Yeah, we got to thank Walls Beard Co. all over those Wicked Chassis trucks. So glad to see them back in victory lane again with the teammate Sean Breitzman. I got to thank VRN putting on such awesome shows that we get to go back and watch with the family. And then I got to thank the family for giving me the opportunity to enjoy my hobby and do what I like to do and go race with all these these guys and put on good shows.
I love it. That's a guy right there who knows how to get it done. The number 48, Mark Wall's going to bring it home second here tonight, and he did the smartest thing he could possibly do as a guy who does this. You got to thank the family out there. So that's awesome to do. Great to talk to Mark, but there's one more left to talk to. And the man with the plan tonight, Sean Brightson in Victory Lane with our very own Mr. Charles Wooten. So, Charles, take it away down there in the winner's circle with that very fast number 46 truck.
All right, now that we got our voice back a little bit, we do have the 46 of Sean Brightsman, your race winner here tonight. And first and foremost, congrats on putting it in Victory Lane and kind of I don't want to say he's your teammate, but shutting down Mark Walls here. He won the last two races. He won the championship last season. He won this race last season. Well, you came in here and showed him it's not all about the 48. The 46 can get it done. You did just that. So how does it feel to be sitting in Victory Lane knowing you beat such a dominant driver and one of your teammates at the same time?
I can't even begin with words. I mean, I am beginning with words. I'm speechless, to be honest. Tonight, it's greasy track, loose. We're all struggling with the same deal. I just seem to hold those tires and be able to hold the loose truck a little bit straighter, and just get the end of the runs there and take over that lead.
Definitely an outstanding run here. A hard-fought battle. Usually we see someone really kind of dominate. It really didn't happen here. He was right there with you for a lot of this race, and then you kind of get away, or he'd get away, and you'd kind of do it back and forth. So all around, a really close, very good race here tonight from Las Vegas. The question we have for you is... one, are you going to have a pacemaker now? Because I am almost positive your heart probably skipped a beat there when the 12 made contact with you on the last lap.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, definitely skipped a beat. I saw him get loose, and then he went down the apron, and then he got to the grass, and at that point I just knew there was... I was hoping I would see him go left, and then I saw the right front go right, and I went, okay, hopefully it's just a small hit and I can save it, and kind of saved it and slammed it against the wall and tried to get moving quickly and kind of missed a gear and let Mark catch up even quicker, and so it was just definitely a battle of the last lap, and no fault to Jason's. He just got loose in front, and there was nothing he could have done, and nothing I could have done. I chose the high side, and by the time I realized he was going high, it was too late.
Well, definitely, you did a good job. There's a lot of people out there that after a little hit like that would have probably spun it out and by all means collected a few more cars with them. You did a good job hanging on to it. Missing a gear or not, you still made it work. You put it in Victory Lane. We know you got some sponsors and shout-outs, so who are those for that first place finish?
I just got to thank Walls Beard Co., Wicked Chassis Racing, Central Welding Supply, everybody at Virtual Racing Network, and then I know we had Phil also come in from Full Velocity TV. Thanks. I can't wait to watch this and see how you guys call the race, and guest announcer David Applegate. So really looking forward to watch this back and kind of see how you guys call a race. And I got to thank or give a shout out to I believe there's a birthday in the Wicked Chassis Racing family, and I believe it's Mama Stab now. That's Jeff's mom, and I believe she's having a birthday right now. So big shout out to her for her birthday, and thanks for doing everything that you do to help us move this league along.
All right, well, there you have it. Mama Stab now having a birthday. So Jeff, I'm sure we'll hear from it, as he did not deliver for her birthday present tonight. So, we always like to see when it's a birthday for someone in the family, having them put it in Victory Lane. But had a good truck here, just didn't quite end up in Victory Lane or in the top three where he is used to being. We're used to seeing him up there. But that is going to do it here for tonight. Of course, we want to thank all the sponsors for coming on board here for tonight on the racing side of things. A big shout out to Walls Beard Co. Beard Bomb. Check them out at wallsbeardco.com. And of course, on the racing side of things, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the following partners: Northwest Racing Series, Walls Beard Co., RaceOnTexas.com, Sim Speed Shop, Hanover Wrecker Service, On the Edge Motorsports, Huffman Designs, and Racecore. Make sure you thank all of these great partners for coming on board here. Message them on their social media site. Give them a big shout out for coming on board. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. As always, on behalf of myself, Phil, David, all the guys here at the Northwest Racing Series and Virtual Racing Network, Full Velocity TV, everyone that's involved in making this broadcast possible. We hope you enjoyed tonight's race and, well, this morning's race too for some people, and we will see you next Thursday night with some more great asphalt racing here with the Northwest Racing Series.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be used in any form without the authorized written consent of Virtual Racing Network. VRN would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.